Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And welcome back to the Moe Rock Show. And Misty, I'm so excited because this week, not only are we talking about a very important subject matter, but we have NCAA champions, best-selling authors, successful entrepreneurs, some of the top thought leaders in our community joining us for this evening's conversation. And of course, today we're going to talk about leadership of the future. What does that mean? What kind of a leader does today's world and the world of the future need? And what kind of qualities and attributes do we need to be effective leaders in a ever-changing world? And Misty, you're going to be our special host of this week. And I'm curious, what are your opening thoughts about this subject matter of leadership for the future? Please, floor is yours.
Absolutely. And first of all, I'd like to thank you, Mo, and the Los Angeles Tribune for having me here today. I'm very excited. One of the things that always pops up to mind with me with leadership, because I've studied it, I have 23 years experience, a master's degree in it, is that, and I heard it today somewhere, and it said, if everyone likes you, you're not a good leader. If everyone likes you, you're not a good leader. And the hard part is, I think that comes from our 70s and 80s, like we're the bosses and we're moving forward. Whereas with these next generations coming up, especially our Zillennial or Generation Z and our Alpha generation gets older, is they're going to want to respect you and want to like you in order for you to move them, to inspire them. So I think what's going to happen for our future leaders is it's going to be that flip from I'm the boss and more of that I'm the visionary and I'm supporting your dreams as you support mine. Now, one of the key things that I love, though, as a leader is leaders have foresight, insight, and oversight. And a lot of other people in the company have hindsight. So that leader of the future is going to have to be confident and okay with adversity and even themselves being flexible and changing.
It's such a powerful point, Misty, and I couldn't agree more that although it's good to be liked, if you just walk around and make that your number one focus, and I think today, because of social media and the conditioning the social media has had on our society and culture, we're literally addicted to being liked, meaning we're addicted to the dopamine release that we get when we get a bunch of likes on a photo, when we get a bunch of likes on a video, when we get a bunch of likes on something that we put in. And so our entire society has literally, especially in the last decade plus, been conditioned to operate in terms of what is going to increase my likability factor the most. And we're seeing the ramifications of this. And to be an effective leader, Misty, I think we need to break free from that chain. If our decision-making process is influenced by social media, I think that puts us in an erroneous place. What are your thoughts on that before we bring together this incredible panel?
I've I feel for today's youth, and I just want to shout out that there was no cameras and social media when I was growing up, because they're making these decisions as they come into corporations or even go to college. And if you're messing up on social media, you're already out. Like, you're gonna be canceled. I guess that's the cancel culture, right? Is one false step and you're out of that. And I think that puts fear sometimes in everyone else. So really looking at that as the leader is, you still want feedback. You still want to know, that those people in your life that are going to help you with the insight, help you be more aware. But if you are just looking, if your validation comes from outside of you, I think that's where you're in trouble. And that's where you see the less authenticity of the leaders. And that's where they start to crumble, is when they're just not authentically who they are. And they're kind of the moving like a leaf with everyone else, with trends in society and what that looks like, instead of being the tree.
Extremely powerful. And with that, we want to bring our awesome and powerful lineup that we have for this conversation. Of course, NCAA champion Parisa Rose, a leader in the realms of media, Julie Ann Meyer, Rex Sikes, somebody who has a resume so long, I'm not even going to bother saying it, because we'll be here all day just talking about his resume. Mr. Craig Bruce, a visionary and someone that is a integrity-driven leader in business. And of course, Donna Campbell, someone who this community is very familiar with. And so we're going to kick it off with you, Julie Ann Meyer. What does leadership of the future look like to you? And what is a attribute or quality that the future leader of this world needs that the previous leader did not have? Julie Ann Meyer, please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mo. I'm so happy to be here, and I love that question. And to sort of piggyback a little bit on what Misty was saying, there's this idea that you have to be liked. And I think that the thing that's missing is the bravery to be able to create a wave instead of riding someone else's. That means that you have to step out and be vulnerable enough to be visible, and do what you got to do in order to lead and create that next wave. And that could mean not being liked. So that's what I think is missing.
I want to add, I just want to say that be the wave, not ride someone else's. That's huge. Whereas I think sometimes we want to position ourselves to be on that wave. Now, I want to kick it over to, because we always think about leadership as you're leading others, but really I think that comes from the first leading yourself first. And what better question to ask a world champion than what maybe some of those qualities that you're going to think that future leaders, future athletes are going to need to continue to have those peaks of success. Parisa, please.
I was like, I think you're talking to me about those things. Oh, it's so good to be here with you all. Okay, so I was literally having this conversation with one of my really good friends last night about what leadership looks like moving forward. And really, that starts within yourself, as you just mentioned. And we went on like this whole deep dive of like the etymology of a lot of these different words as we were kind of going off on this like rabbit trail of leadership. But really what it came down to was that, are you willing to allow integrity to be greater than optics?
Mm. Drop the mic.
Because,
love it.
You know, it's challenging because at times we lose sight. As Misty, as you were saying earlier, I think it was foresight, insight, and
Oversight.
Oversight. Okay, I had oversight. I'm like, I'm not sure if that was the one, but it's as much as we can have that, like really, what does it look like? Like, how much are you already adopting to the optics? How much? Even right now in this moment, how much versus integrity? So that's really what I've been sitting with the last 24 hours a lot, and which is so awesome that this is the topic for today. So good to be here.
You bring up something that, and to shamelessly just plug, because The Moral Compass, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a book by by Moe Rock in the Los Angeles Tribune. But I think really having that moral compass instead of that, like you were just saying, is like, that's the integrity, is that moral compass of where you're headed throughout all the storms. And I want to add to the conversation about yourself leading, you're taking care of yourself before you could take care of others. But sometimes when we push over into that leadership, it's almost more and we've seen it with athletes, we've seen it in different companies, is that self-destruction where they implode because they are not taking care of themselves. They're doing everything else but themselves. So I want to tap in Craig into this topic. This topic actually was inspired. Me and Craig had a conversation last week about what that future is going to look like, and how are we going to get ready for it with the leaders of today. They're great for today, but they're not going to be the leaders of tomorrow unless some shifts are made. Craig.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's great to be here with you tonight, and such an important topic. I think Misty, I think it's important to frame that question in the context of what's going on globally, because the world is changing at a pace more rapidly than I believe we as humans can adjust. Technology, just think about AI, and you wake up every day and AI is creating all kinds of changes in the world around us. And then you've got the generational changes that you talked about. And I think the leader of the future has to lead human. They have to be human. They have to show their vulnerability. They have to show authenticity, because younger generations are really expecting that and want to connect with the leaders. And I think leading human is really the direction that leaders of the future really have to take.
I love that. So I have a question for Donna, and then I'm gonna, because Rex kind of accompanies all of this in his lifetime. So I'm gonna hit Donna with a question, Rex, and then I'm gonna have you kind of sum it up, because you're going to be able to add to every part of it. But so I think that Craig can make a great point that it has to be human. It has to come from that alignment and connection. Yeah. And Donna, you are kind of one of the world leaders when it comes to alignment with beliefs and success and even past thoughts. So what can you add to the conversation about that with the future leader and having that alignment within themselves before they go out into the world?
That is an amazing question, because this is something that over the last week I have thought a lot about, because on a previous show, someone asked me what the word authenticity meant when I used it. And so, of course, I have to do a deep dive into it, and it encompasses a lot of what everyone's already been saying with what Parisa said, with Craig said. I'm excited for Rex next here. But what I discovered was authenticity, although it was the word of the year with the dictionary, was a lot about believing what you said and it being honest and truthful. So if you are honestly and truthfully communicating and you 100% believe without even a tiny bit of doubt that this is true and accurate, science has measured this, and when you're in that frequency, it is 4 times more powerful than the energy of love. So really, where is the future of leadership going? It's going into, yes, authenticity. We've started off the year with that, but really standing in the power of that, knowing what it means and sharing it with the world.
I love that. And I think that's a perfect segue. I've known Rex for many, many years. And he's able to not only have one industry and become a gigantic mentor in it to others, Rex, but you have many industries that you've just crossed into. But a pattern I've seen with you is you've always turning around and helping others to get to where you're at. You're always where you're at. People just want to be around. So in encompassing all this leadership, what do you think some of the things that we could learn from you that we could take into the future?
Wow. Well, first, let me say I hope I live up to that introduction. Very kind. And there's so many beautiful answers. It really, truly, what's been shared so far is uplifting. And it's something that I think benefits all to listen and then imbibe and embrace. What I would add is this, and forgive me for this, but I have a 3-part series on leadership as proposed by Napoleon Hill on YouTube. So you can always find that. But one of the first things he said is something that was shared here is that you first must be able to lead yourself. And you have to have the characteristics, the qualities, the traits of somebody who's a good leader, and who can move you from one place to the other. But beyond that, I think what we need more than anything else is a benevolent leader. Somebody who, when we talk about authenticity and love and compassion and kindness and caring, leaders have to lead by example, not by their words. It's not just about inspiring people by what you say and getting them to follow along blindly. It's demonstrating who you are and what you are, and that what you are and who you are is worth joining together with. We think in terms of leaders and followers, but really, I always think of it like a tour guide. A tour guide takes people on a journey and points out the pitfalls and points out the wonderful things that they can do or pay attention to. They're not there to say, well, just follow me. They're there to help people enjoy that experience. So if the true leader of the future, because we've come through a whole number of decades of hate and discontent, and now more than ever, people are arguing and fighting, and social media is this preeminent kind of thing. The comments about likes and everything else. So what people need to know to trust a leader is that their interests are in the heart of the leader. That the leader cares for them and actually cares about the outcomes that the leader is espousing or proposing, and that together they can make a difference, not just for themselves, but for everyone, and to realize that we're all in it together. And unless we cooperate, we're more likely to perish. So
you have just set up the next question. I was talking earlier with Mo, and what we were looking at is red flags, white flags. So we're going to talk about, like, currently now, when you're doing business, and all of you are, Mo, do you want to tap in on this?
Well, I've just been really enjoying the conversation and taking notes, and I want to take a second to thank Misty for doing such a great job as our special host this week. And one of the things I learned from one of my mentors, Sharon Lecter, and I've been so blessed because I've had so many great mentors in my life, either from afar or individuals that I've learned in my opportunities to have conversations with them and ask them questions. And something Sharon Lecter taught me was that I am the CEO of my own life, and that we are all first and foremost the CEO of our own lives. And we can hire and we can fire accordingly. And I think sometimes when we navigate our lives, we forget that, or we allow other people to discourage us from that truth. And it's really unfortunate because you could be a strong person but give your power away. And one of the things about leadership is to never give your power away, right? Meaning, remember that you can hire and fire accordingly. And also another thing that I let people know when it comes to this idea of leading yourself and navigating through the waters of life, particularly in dealing with our fellow species, is that, it's so profound, I forgot what I was going to say. And so I'll come back to it. But with that being said, I love this subject matter, and I'm so excited to hear some thoughts. And Misty, I want to ask you, because you've done such a great job of asking the questions, but what is your stance on how to either stop, red, slow, yellow, or move forward full steam ahead, green, when it comes to interacting with other people? Floor is yours. Misty Kerrigan, please.
That is an amazing question that I would not have been able to answer in my 20s. So I have it's kind of a joke, it's a saying though, but how, like, when you meet someone and you fall in love and you're like, I wish I would have met you when I was younger. Have you guys heard that before? Yeah. But I tell my wife all the time, thank God I didn't meet you when I was younger. I'm so happy I met you when I met you. Because I think to have grace as you're going through life, because I think you learn that as you go, and you learn it through stumbling and through experiences, and unfortunately sometimes by being screwed over, by maybe trusting the wrong person or not listening to yourself. When with myself and when I coach others, a lot of things I hear too is, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that, or I had a feeling, or oh my God, so what I had to learn, especially in my 40s, which have been amazing, is to take that step back and to see if it aligns with where I'm going. Because I already know where I'm going. I already have my compass. I know where I want to be. And sometimes I get off track, not only because I have ADHD, but it's just fun sometimes to get off track. So what I have to do before I know to go forward or to move back or to stop is to pull out my compass and make sure I'm still headed to where I've set where I'm going. And one of the most important strategies in that is set where you're going when you're not in high emotion. Right? Because those are the waves. But if you're calm and you're connected and you're authentically vibrating on that realm where you're getting the messages, like it lights you up and you know where you want to go. It already feels like home. Donna would say, create it now. It already feels like you're there, and now you're just on the path to get there. And I think that's when you're at your most vulnerable, is when you're headed there and you kind of take your eyes off it. And so I hope that helps out there when you're navigating your path, is that not everyone on that path is there to help you, unfortunately, but you can learn from everybody on the path you interact with.
That's amazing, Misty, and I want to thank you for that. And I remembered what I was going to share, and because I know everyone watching cared so deeply, I have to share it. And that's that. Another thing is, we as leaders don't owe anybody an explanation or an answer or a response. See, something that grinds my gears is when I see very strong, powerful people feel obligated to respond back to somebody. I'm here to encourage everyone watching, as well as my friends here on the panel. You don't owe anyone on this planet a damn response unless you want to respond to them. And so a lot of times we might get a text message, we might get a phone call, we might get an email, we might get a letter. And a lot of times we think, well, how do I respond back? And we don't think about the option of just simply not responding back. Not everyone is worthy of a response, right? Not everyone is worthy of your attention. Not everyone is worthy of the most precious thing that you have, which is your time. And I see so many people wasting time, wasting energy on individuals that don't have respect for them, on individuals that don't have respect for themselves, on individuals that are not integrity-driven leaders. And so for me, if you're an integrity-driven leader, and if I've made that determination about you, I'll give you all the time in the world. Mm-hmm. But if my intuition does not feel that way about you, I won't even respond back to anything you have to say. That's just a very firm stance in how I live my life. And if some people take it personal, that's fine. Now, if you're my friend and you contact me and I don't respond back because I'm busy, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But in general, I'm encouraging individuals to keep that as an option. You don't owe anybody a damn response. It's not an obligation. And so with that being said, Misty, floor is back to you.
That was very powerful, but now I know why he doesn't text sometimes. So
I love it.
So I love the idea of the what do you guys look when you're like, how do you know what's a white flag compared to a red flag? And a white flag is something that, yes, this is a good sign, I want to move forward. Red flag being like, is it me, or is something going on that maybe I shouldn't engage further in business with this person? So I want to start with Julian. I know that you've done business in different realms, and you had to learn different personalities and the way that in the different realms business is done. How did you stay congruent with your integrity in the different things that you've done?
For me?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. So here's the thing that I've discovered. Well, one, I want to make a comment about what Mo said is, don't let anybody hijack your time. Don't let them kidnap. It's okay to literally walk away from a conversation. Somebody taught me that years ago, and Mo reminded me today, and that's something that I just think is so important. But the thing that really captures my attention and captures the white flag, the I should move forward with this, and is fear. It's the butterfly fear. It's I don't know how I'm going to do this, but it's a resounding, heck yeah, I'm there. I've got to do this. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And it's daring and it's scary, but that to me is the ultimate. If I don't feel any fear, then it's not big enough for me. And I'm not thinking big enough. So I really have to have that in order to say, hell yeah, I'm going to do this. And as far as like the red flags, as a society, we've been taught since a very young age to look outside of ourselves for every single answer, whether it's teachers, doctors, you name it. We are taught not to listen to our intuition. We are taught not to listen to that voice inside of us. And while there are times when it is very loud and I can hear it, there are other times when I can't. So that always for me it comes down to, if I'm on the fence about anything, like the smaller decisions, I always I ask for counsel, not advice. So it depends on who. I'm not going to go to a homeless person and ask them where to invest my money. You know, I'm just not going to do that. But who would I ask? Probably Sharon Lecter. That would be a good place to start.
That's a great place to start.
So those are a few things. Like if you're trying to learn how to hear your voice, you know, one of the things I always say is we don't do life by ourselves, but we have to do it ourselves. And in order to be able to understand what's really best for us, sometimes we have to ask outside people for that counsel until we can really hear. And sometimes it's just good in general because she knows more about that than I do. So why wouldn't I ask her? So I don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Oh my, and I love that because I think so many times we go for advice instead of counsel, and you just reiterated that it's such important is you can get lots of counsel and then take it into yourself and then move forward and not have to take anyone's advice because you're out there seeking what their perception is to help you with your decision, but not make your decision.
Exactly.
So I want to, I know for fact, your emotional intelligence and your mindset are two of the things that if they're out of alignment, you're not going to be making those best decisions. You're probably going to be falling for advice. And so, Chris, I want to kind of tag you in as you're like a mastery coach when it comes to emotion and mindset. And is there some tips or things you could help us with to maybe measure ours or to help us get to where you're at?
Good question. So I would say remain curious in all aspects. Because if you remain curious, then you release this posture to be defensive. And when anyone is defensive about any part of their lives, you block yourself from really learning and gaining more insight and more understanding of where you're at in the moment. And you don't have to like micro analyze every single moment of what's going on. But I think it's so crucial to have a greater awareness because then you actually feel more confident. And you can do the simplest task with more confidence and it's going to go a lot better. You can do something a lot more complex or something that you've been having fear about or fear within, and you can go about it with more confidence and it's going to go better. And I think a lot of people often will also see confidence as something that it's very optics focused. But I would like to remind anyone that's listening and hearing my voice right now, but that confidence is actually just the expression of self-trust.
Wow.
Wow.
So stay curious to get more confidence.
I have a mic right here, and I'm just going to can you say that one more time? That was so insane and intense. Please define confidence for us.
Yeah, confidence is the expression of self-trust.
Wow.
That's all that it is, though. I've literally done so many studies of this because I had such this holdup in my life of doubt, of self-doubt. And I looked into, again, I'm going to bring up the etymology because I think that with greater understanding becomes this place you can actually become more confident because you have that knowledge there. But with this doubt, the opposite of doubt, when you embody it, is confidence. Well, what is confidence? Oh, it's trust. Because what are trust and doubt? They're opposites. And that is everything. That you don't even have to think about the mindset because you are the embodied mindset. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. That was so powerful. And thank you. I'm taking notes and you. Man, I'm gonna have to like marinate on that one when the call ends. I'll still be sitting on my couch like this. Okay, very amazing answer. So we are lucky because Mr. Craig Bruce, you're the one that is tapped in when the Fortune 500 company leader is about to fall over and have a heart attack, or they're just tired and done and they lose everything. So you work at such a coaching at such a high level of individuals who are just at their very best, who are starting to not be their very best because of some of their very own behaviors. So I would love to tap your brain, as I have a million times in this conversation, is what are some strategies we could put in place now so that we're always 90% to 100%, and we don't have to in 10 years worry about extra stress or eating my way out of stressful situations. But what are you teaching the best of the best right now?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. How much time do we have? But and by the way, Parissa, thank you. Confidence is the expression of self-trust, man. I'm writing that on my board, so thank you. That's fabulous. I think the leader of the future. I talked about leading human. I think another set of competencies that the leader of the future really has to possess is self-regulation and well-being, right? Because, and that gets back to leading, what Rex was talking about, leading well from within, that if we don't first lead ourselves well, then we can't possibly lead others. And to lead ourselves well, we have to be able to self-regulate. We have to be able to, when we are in high stress environments, in that fight or flight state, we have to be able to bring ourselves into a more calm, relaxed state, right? Because we know we're more creative and we make better decisions when we are not in that fight or flight. So one of the techniques that I coach my clients on, and it's so simple, but yet they feel like it changes their lives, is a technique called pause, notice, and choose, right? And there's one of my favorite quotes of all times is by Viktor Frankl, who wrote the Man's Search for Meaning. And he says that between the stimulus and the response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose, and our response lies, and in our response lies growth and freedom. And so when we pause, we literally begin to take our mind and our body from that sympathetic to that parasympathetic, which then allows us to make a conscious decision, bringing the decisions here, and then we can make an informed choice. So that's one of the techniques that I found is really, really effective.
Pause, notice, choose. Those are amazing. Thank you, Craig, for that. So I have a great question, because this is something that has really impacted me. I don't know if you guys, have you ever felt stuck in your lives? Like, you're doing everything right, but maybe the things aren't exactly happening as it needs to be. And you're like, well, I have the degrees, I'm doing things, I'm showing up, I'm taking all the classes, but you're just not where you want to be. And so we have one of the renowned world coaches that helps people get unstuck, especially leaders, especially when you're a high performer. So Donna, I would love for you to give a couple insights on for high performers when we just are doing everything we can and we're still not getting the results we want.
Yeah, that is a great question, because it's a very individual answer to each person to what really stops them from moving forward. Fear is a great one. Doubt, we've heard some of those words. But what I tend to look at is, am I making a decision in alignment, that's the key word, alignment with my soul purpose, or with what I'm ready to go to next? Because you can be out there doing all day long, which a lot of people, especially us high achievers, we do. But if it's not in alignment, it's not worth doing, because it's just going to pull you off the path. You're going to veer off the left road instead of staying on the right path. And so I tend to take a look now a lot about alignment and what is needed to stay in alignment, making sure you're making the correct decisions for you to move yourself forward in the easiest, most least resistant path, kind of like how water flows. It will always take the path of least resistance. It'll go over the rocks, through the rocks, under the rocks, carves out the rocks. It can be a babbling brook. It could be Niagara Falls, but become like water, and it always aligns as an element into its natural flow state.
So, Mo, before I get to you, I have a great question for Rex, and then we'll swing it back to Mo. But Donna, you just said alignment and flow, and we just happen to have Mr. Rex Sikes, who is the authority when it comes to the law of attraction, which is all about vibration and flow, and not pushing against, right? Pushing against where you're not supposed to be, but staying in flow where spirit or universe, whatever that flow is pushing you towards. Rex, would love some of your insights from your decades of work in helping people manifest their lives.
Well, thank you. And again, great answers from everybody. And if the watching and listening audience takes, any of the suggestions that the esteemed colleagues have given so far, they will be well served. They truly will be well served. I would add that if you're in your authentic self and you're heart-centered, the best thing that's available to you is your own intuition. If you're not in a heart space and you're not your authentic self, then what most people think is their intuition is really just themselves telling themselves this is the way it should be or not. The linguist side of me says this: if you listen to most people talk, including thought leaders and leaders and everything else, there's assumptions that people make all the time. I spent 50 years working with what people would call limiting beliefs. Even just saying limiting beliefs, there's an assumption in that, and if somebody says, I'm stuck, I have these limiting beliefs, I have to get clear of them before I move forward. Well, who says you have to get clear of them? We've listened. Imagine if you were like Helen Keller and you had no vision and no hearing, or you were a small child, you hadn't read a psychology book or heard from a doctor or somebody telling you how to think or what to do, and you were going to walk for the very first time, you crawl. What would you do? My guess is you just do it. You wouldn't sit down and wallow and go, I can't do it. I don't have a good self-esteem. My image isn't right. I'm not connected with the universe. Oh, my psychologist tells me. I mean, we wouldn't have all the crap that goes on in people's minds. And so for a leader, for a person, for anyone, notice the assumptions that you make that are hostile to yourself or to others or to the world, and then change them. Because they're not serving you or serving others or serving the world by assuming that there are other people out to get you, that people are preying on you, or that you want your time. All these kinds of things are, we see all these memes all the time that say, like, put your mask on first before you help another person. Yeah, well, that's great if you're in an airplane.
Nice.
But what I'm saying is, if you allow yourself to be led by for 50 years in workshops, I've almost started every single workshop with what stops most people. And I ask them, and they have all sorts of answers. And then I tell them what I think it is. You want to know what it is?
Yes, please.
A thought, positive, negative, whatever. It's a thought. Somebody said, well, it's a fear. Well, yes. Well, where does the fear come from? It comes from a thought. It comes from the kinesthetic representation of something that they're thinking. Change the thought and things change. So, this is the trap that so many people fall into. They think along habitual lines that they've thought along, that they've learned in their conditioning and growing up, and that has nothing to do with being authentic. Your authentic self is removed from all of the conditioning that you have. So fall into yourself and into your place, and realize that place is occupied as well by other people, that we share a universe. It's not us against them. That assumption will harm us more than anything. It's not them against us. That assumption will harm us more than any. So it's how do you live a life free? And you're free by just dropping and letting go, by pausing, by noticing, and by choosing to do something different instead of just perpetuating the problem.
So you just teed up a question for Mr. Moe Rock I would love to ask, because it's one thing to be in charge of the CEO and lead yourself or lead a company, but Mr. Moe Rock, you're leading. Are you going to pop on, Mo?
Pop on, Mo. That sounds like a song.
So you're leading a movement, if you will, and I think Rex just kind of nailed it. Is you're in this world where of media where in the last 10, 20 years, it's just been horrible. And you took a stance, and you're taking the Los Angeles Tribune and many other publications into that, what people are looking for, that leadership or that community where there's a group of individuals who just want more. What inspires you? Or what advice would you give someone who
Well,
wants
first of all, Misty, thank you for that. And I want to rewind before I get into specifically what you asked, because Craig brought up Viktor Frankl and the ideas of that book. And I think it's very apropos for the conversation that we're having, because one of the things Viktor Frankl discussed was having a goal for the future.
Yeah.
When he was in that concentration camp, which is a unimaginable horror, he noticed a lot of things that obviously he wrote about in his book, including the distinctions of different kinds of behavior. Something profound about his experience was that he noticed that some human beings handled that situation in the most grotesque ways, and some human beings were sharing their small piece of bread with other human beings. And one of the profound discoveries that he had was that Freud's assertion that human beings' main modus operandi is to seek pleasure is actually not true, that our main objective as human beings is to seek meaning. And I happen to believe that Viktor Frankl was right and that Sigmund Freud was wrong, specifically on that particular point. And Frankl also reminded all of us that it's our responsibility to discover our meanings, and that that burden falls on our shoulders, and that love is the ultimate channel to discover our meaning. So I just wanted to appreciate you bringing that up. And as far as your question, Misty, I was just with the former CEO of Blockbuster a couple of days ago, Jim Keyes, and we spoke together on a panel. And he happened to be the CEO of Blockbuster during the duration, during the final chapters of the Blockbuster that we all know, and many people commonly attribute the shift in media to the demise of Blockbuster, i.e., streaming versus brick and mortar. And one of the great things about what we're doing at the LA Tribune is the whole philosophy of what we're doing is very simple. We're attracting the right leaders and then getting the hell out of their way. So we're attracting the Craig Bruces of the world, and then we're getting the hell out of his way. We're attracting the Misty Kerrigans, the Parisa Roses, the Donna Campbells, the Julianne Myers, the Rex Sykeses, the Karen Halls, those individuals that are in our virtual auditorium, those individuals that are our partners, and we're getting out of the way. And so for us, it's the first part is the hard part for most people. And that's why, this conversation is such an important conversation, is attracting the right people, not attracting people. That part any idiot can do. Attracting the right people. That's the most important distinction. And as far as what do we consider the right people to be? Well, all of the folks here on the screen also happen to be co-authors of the best-selling book, The Moral Compass. Notice it's not called the How to Get Rich Quick Compass, right? And I had a lot of different opportunities to write a lot of different kinds of books. And yet I decided that I wanted the flagship book. And later on this year, we're going to have a very incredible celebration of this book at Barnes & Noble's in Los Angeles. And we'll, more details on that. But the moral compass, integrity-driven leadership, right? And so for us to attract integrity-driven leaders, well, you have to embody and be what it is that you want to attract, not with words, not with paint, but with action. And another important language in life is the language of action. I have absolutely no use for anyone that wants to use flattery in a conversation. You're not going to go very far with me if the only thing you have to bring to the table is flattery. Now, that'll get you very far in life. I'm in the minority when it comes to that particular quality. But you'll go very far with me, and we can do a lot of great things together if you show me your action. Because that's how I communicate with people, is I will show you with action. And so to be an integrity-driven leader and to practice action and not words, That's what it takes to be a leader of the future, in my view. And Misty, you've done such an incredible job thus far. We're going to take a quick 45-second break and then close out. We only have about 15 minutes left of this week's show. Thank you, Misty. And before we go to closing statements, of course, you just saw a commercial of Leadership Week, and that was just a small fraction of the speakers at Leadership Week. And we at the Los Angeles Tribune, including the folks you see on the screen, are all a part of redefining what it means to be a leader, and also encouraging the folks of Los Angeles and the nation to take 1 week and celebrate leadership the same way that we take 1 week to celebrate fashion. And of course, the LA Fashion Week is a very big part of the culture here in Southern California. But we at the Los Angeles Tribune asked ourselves a question: why don't we celebrate character the same way that we celebrate garments? And by the way, I love fashion. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also love taking time to discuss the human character. And so May 1st to May 7th, we have some of the top thought leaders of past, of present, and yes, of future participating. Some names that you may be familiar with include the likes of Brian Tracy, Ty Lopez, Robert Cialdini, who wrote the book Influence, Mark Victor Hansen, let me think, Sharon Lecter, Dr. Joe Vitale, who also wrote the foreword for our book, The Moral Compass, and so many other incredible thought leaders that you know, we're very spoiled here at the LA Tribune with the amount of thought leaders that we're honored to work with. And so, including, of course, Rex Sikes. Rex is very sensitive. If I don't mention his name, I'm going to get a text. Mr. Rex Sikes as well, who we love, who we adore, who we appreciate, who's also one of my mentors, by the way, and who I have the privilege of speaking to on a regular basis. And Rex is one of my personal North Stars in life. So you're very much appreciated, Rex. And so I encourage everyone to go to LALeadershipWeek.com, register. If you register, you're also going to be invited to a networking event, a virtual networking event. We're going to give you a free ticket for a virtual networking event at a to-be-determined date. So you want to go to LALeadershipWeek.com to register and be a part of the movement. And with that being said, Misty, I know we're going to go to closing statements from all of our speakers. And I'd love to start off with Mr. Craig Bruce to close us out. Mr. Craig, the floor is yours for final statements.
I'm going to end with the way I started. The leader of the future must lead by being human. That means understanding who you are, your values, your non-negotiables, being authentic, showing up vulnerable, and connecting with those that you lead.
Thank you for that, Craig. Donna Campbell, closing statements. You're muted.
So I'm going to follow Craig's lead naturally there, because I think it's actually incredibly beautiful with what he said. And even Rex saying things earlier, you have to lead from the heart. You have to lead being human. It's all of the virtues. It's being authentic. It's doing it from a heart-centered place, out of love, in alignment with a natural state of flow. Now, if we can do that just maybe one day out of the year, I think this whole world is going to just like exponentially grow.
Yep.
Thank you, Donna Campbell. And Donna Campbell, real quick, of course, May 18th,
Yes.
there is a in-person opportunity, in-person event with Dr. Joe Vitale that some individuals can participate in. I know seats are limited. Do you want to quickly plug that domain name for people to visit?
Yes, absolutely. It is the Law of Attraction Retreat Day, and we do have Dr. Joe Vitale live and in person in Temecula, California. It is May 18th, and I'm so honored and humbled that he said yes, and that he is going to be amongst us, where we can have a private dinner with him, as well as personal one-on-one time. So I'll
just put the
link
domain in the chat, Donna. We'll pull it up if you put it in the chat. Thank you. NCAA champion Parisa Rose, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mo. I'm going to touch on one thing that I mentioned earlier, and that is that confidence is an expression of self-trust. And I think that I firmly believe that leaders of right now and moving forward will be more embodied in that confidence. And if you're wondering where to start, look where you hesitate, look where you're hiding, look where you're hypercritical. And those are the places to focus on and shift it into being more decisive. Think, then act. And you'll walk forward with more confidence. Therefore, lead your life from a stronger place of leadership. Thank you, Mo.
And Parisa, one of the things that I can appreciate about you is that physically, you did not have an advantage over your counterparts that you beat in the realms of swimming. Your legs are shorter than other people's legs that you were competing against. Your physiology is most people in the world of swimming would not look at you and say NCAA champion, not because you're not healthy and vibrant, but because the qualities that are usually attributed to success in that world are different than the ones you possess. But what you're a testament of, Parisa, is the power of mindset. Because while they may have had longer legs than you, they did not have your mindset and your mentality, and that's why you're still holding records in the realm of swimming that have not yet been beaten. And I just wanted to point that out because people don't know how tall or how short you are. Parisa, I've met her in person. She's only 3 feet tall. She's very, very short, or something like that, And so I just wanted to point that out, Parisa, that the mindset you have is very important.
It is definitely. Swim big was my motto. I'm 5'3", and most swimmers are close to 6 feet tall. So swim big,
Amazing.
be big, sit big, all of it big.
Julianne Meyer, you do so many incredible things in the realm of positivity and media, and you've been a part of the Tribune community. And I'm so excited to hear your closing statements as you continue to make the world a better place with the very important work that you do. Please, Julianne.
Thank you, Mo. I just want to mention that when you are a leader, especially if you're leading yourself, there are going to be moments in time where things aren't going the way you planned, or you have all of these less than wonderful thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And there's something that I always tell myself in order to show myself grace and the world is all is in divine order. And as soon as I sit back and I can relax before I make a decision, it doesn't have to be made right in this particular moment. If you can just sit back and relax into the moment, all of a sudden your head can clear and you can make choices and hear that inner voice. So my final remarks are just know that everything is in divine order. You are exactly where you need to be, and the right answer will show up as soon as you let it.
Julianne, what I love about that is it's, first of all, I couldn't agree with you more. And when things are going good, when the sun is shining, when the butterflies are roaming around, when there's money in the bank account, when you just got a delicious meal put in front of you at a nice restaurant, when everyone is friendly around you, it's really easy to be a leader. How about that? Right? Isn't that something? When everything is going smooth, it's really easy to be a leader. Leadership can only truly be tested, and you can't find out how effective a person is as a leader, including ourselves, until we have something hit us from out of nowhere.
Exactly.
That's when you can really find out who you truly are. Right. And so I love, Julianne, that you're talking about staying grounded, because we are in control of our own emotions. We are in control of our mental state, our mindset. And mindset, of course, cannot be affected externally, even though in this 3D realm, it's very easy for us to sometimes convince ourselves of that. But the truth of the matter is, mindset is an internal phenomenon. And with that being said, who better to follow up on this conversation than Rex Sikes? If Buddha were alive today, I would have my money that Rex Sikes would be one of the candidates to be Buddha. I don't know if he is Buddha, but he would be on the short list 100%. Rex Sikes, floor is yours.
I don't know why you say if he were alive today. Anyway, so attitude is the number one predictor for success in all areas of your life. Attitude is everything. We have these platitudes, attitude's a little thing that makes a big difference. Well, it's true. So if your attitude is right, everything else falls into place. But a lot of people don't understand the value, the import of having the right attitude for the situations that are called for. Now, I'm going to ask two different questions. The first question, not necessarily a perfect example or analogy, but who do elephants hang around with? Who do bees hang around with? In fact, who do roses hang around with, if such a thing were possible? Who do carrots hang around with? You attract your own kind. Who you are determines who you attract. You never have to look for the right crowd. You be the right crowd and you'll have the right crowd, because whoever you're attracting is showing up because of who you already are. Well, it's be, do, and have. So who you are determines what you get and what's reflected back to you in every single instance of the day. So if you encounter difficulty, that's great, because difficulty is one of those things that helps us move forward. But your attitude is what gets you through it. Because if you think of something as a problem, it'll be a problem. If you think of something as a blessing, it'll be a blessing. And that's why I say celebrate everything. Now, the other thing that I was going to say, I forgot, just like Mo did before. So I'll close with celebrate everything, because that's the best we can do. Because when we do, it uplifts ourselves and it uplifts everyone around us.
Well, thank you for that, Rex, and you're appreciated. And I love, I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, Earl Nightingale also shared that same belief, the importance of the word attitude. And, I have a program coming up that I'm developing called the Attitude Activator, Rex, that I'll have to, actually, no, that's one of Rex Sikes' programs. I encourage everyone to check it out. Attitude Activator. I think they can find it at your website. I personally love it, Rex, and I think it's so important. Misty Kerrigan, closing words, and then after you share the closing words, we'll go ahead and wrap up this week's program. I want to thank all of these amazing leaders for the conversation. I've learned a lot. I've taken a lot of notes. It's always a joy for me to spend time amongst great company, whether it's in person or in this case virtual. And I want to thank all of the folks in the virtual auditorium, Paul McFarland, and all of the folks out there that are leaving us comments, whether it's live or after the fact. Misty Kerrigan, and of course our partner Karen Olson Hall, very special person to the LA Tribune. Misty Kerrigan, if you could go ahead and close us out, floor is yours.
I have two key thoughts. And one of the key thoughts was a quote I read once, and it was, we see the world not as it is, but as we are. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. So if we want to change the world, we change us. And the other thought leading to that is, if we can change the world by changing ourselves, the biggest impact is our community and who we are around. There's a quote that says, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around. Science shows us it goes deeper. It's the 5 people hang around, the 5 people hang around. So I want to end with leaders. I saw it somewhere. It said that leaders are like eagles, right? Like they don't have time for the stuff because they're flying so high. And then I read that during its life, an eagle has to break its own beak off so that a new one grows. And when its new beak comes in, it rips out its old claw so that new ones grows. So I leave with a challenge that is, what beak needs to be ripped off so that the new version can grow in? And if you're on the journey, come back next week and the week after, watch the videos, because the Moe Rock Show is where you want to be. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks in our leadership week. And I just want to, again, thank the guests for being here. You guys have enriched my life. I'm going to take a lot of this into practice. And Mo, thank you so much for having me.
And we want
thank you so much, Misty. Thank you again to everyone. And we'll see you back here, same time, same place next week, where you can learn the skills needed to lead your life and lead your business.